Welcome back to Ion Foxborough. I'm Karen Guregian, and today I am thrilled to welcome back former NFL great Matt Hasselbeck. Um, he's currently coaching high school football in Tennessee. His nephew is the quarterback, and you also have a weekly gig with the herd with Colin Coward.
Yeah,
How's it
on
going
Mondays. On Mondays.
on
I'm
Mondays?
coaching my nephew, like you said, but really I'm coaching with my brother Tim. Tim's the head coach. I'm the offensive coordinator. So my younger brother Tim is now my boss. It's weird. It's weird. So if you're the oldest child, like we have three boys in our family, I'm the oldest. It's like payback time for all those times that I picked on my little brother, now that he's in charge. Luckily, my dad's helping coach the tight end, so there's we still have a referee when we have a disagreement.
I love that. Offensive coordinator. Hey, did Mike Vrabel give you a call?
He should have. What the heck? He's got my
Right?
number. No, I think they got their guy. No surprise. I don't think anybody's surprised that Josh McDaniels ended up there. And I don't even know how well he and Mike Vrabel know each other, but I just think the reputation and the clout that Josh has in the building, whether it's with the Crafts or really everybody else in the building, I think the fans. This is a guy that everyone's excited about. They know what he can do with quarterbacks. They know he's adaptable. And so I think the controversy right now is like, was this Vrabel's choice or was this somebody else's choice? But either way, I think he's a really well respected guy around the league.
Yeah, I think that whether Vrabel was influenced, not influenced, or whatever, I think the important thing is, did they get the right guy to move Drake Maye to take him to greater levels or have him reach, his height. And I personally think Josh is a great guy to do that. I'm guessing you might agree with that.
Well, I just think the track record's there, like in terms of being adaptable, I think is important. And if you listen to Mike Vrabel's press conference, what he's looking for in coaches. He's looking for someone who's a great teacher, number one. Mike Holmgren was primarily my head coach most of my years in the NFL. He would always talk about that. He's always talk about coaches, you are a teacher first, and then number two, Vrabel mentioned just developing talent. And I think that was one of the most impressive things to me when I got to the Green Bay Packers as a rookie. Andy Reid was the quarterback's coach. He was coaching Brett Favre. And yet, somewhere along the way, while he was coaching Brett Favre to get back to another Super Bowl, to get another MVP, he was developing the room. I was on the practice squad. And so he was a great teacher. And I think he was a great developer of talent. And I think those were the top two things that Mike Vrabel said he was looking for in a coach. And then the third, I don't exactly remember how he said it, but he said it in a way of like, you need to connect with your player or help motivate your player. And it's not always rah rah how you do that, but you basically have to get the best out of your players. You have to push your guys further than they even know they could be pushed, and dream bigger than they could even dream for themselves. And so like there's not one person or one coach that can do that. I think Josh is a perfect fit for New England. Had Vrabel been the head coach on some other team, like say he took one of these other jobs, do I think it definitely would have been Josh? I don't know. But I do know this is a very desirable job to a lot of coaches. And I think especially to a guy like Josh McDaniels, whose kids probably grew up here, probably loved it here, and having the opportunity to work with such an amazing talent in Drake Maye. Yeah, this is a great fit in my opinion.
Um, Obviously, you've played quarterback, you've had to change systems on occasion, learn new systems. Um, my understanding is, yes, Josh has the Patriots' old offense. That's his offense, but I've seen him adapt that offense to different quarterbacks, whether it was Cam Newton, Matt Castle, uh, the quarterbacks he had out with the Raiders. Do you see the kind of the same thing happening here with him basically, uh, making it Drake May friendly?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I thought you were going to mention Tim Tebow also.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
that's right.
no, I think like really what happens with the system, it's a lot of it's just language. It's like, most of us grew up in high school taking Spanish or French. I actually took German, but like mostly you're just learning a language, right? And and that's really what it is. Like it's the same kind of plays. Like it looks like everyone's running the same plays, but you're just learning a different language. And so like the language that using Drake Maye that he had at North Carolina is very different than the language that he had this year with Alex Van Pelt, and it'll be a different language next year with Josh McDaniels. But the plays, the actual routes, the protections, the all that kind of stuff is very very similar. And just like getting to know Drake through the draft process, meeting him at the combine, a lot of what happens in the pre-draft process is these all these different teams give you a little bit of kind of like cliff notes of their playbook, and they
Mhm.
have you go home and study it. And then either during your workout or your, on the chalkboard interview, I'm showing my age, on the whiteboard interview with the dry erase marker, they see how much of that playbook you remember, like how much you could, they throw it all at you and see how much like sinks in, see, what kind of learner you are, how much you can, basically what you can handle. So I'm assuming that he's been exposed to, this language already. And just again, having been around him, he's an impressive, really impressive kid. Um, Franchise quarterback all the way, in my opinion.
Mhm. From what you saw of Drake during the season, um, did anything surprise you, or what might have impressed you with him, basically jumping in from week 6 on?
Probably surprised me how long he stayed on the bench. Probably that was the number one thing that surprised me.
Mhm.
Um, when you looked around, if you were going to be truly unbiased and you looked around at like the best situations for a young quarterback coming in this year, for a rookie quarterback, like New England wasn't the best situation, for a lot of different reasons, talent around you, expectations, like a lot of stuff. And so, like that was one thing. I also think like when you look at the rookie quarterbacks, the guys that had the most success this year by far would be Jaden Daniels of Washington and Bo Nix of Denver. Now, like Bo Nix is probably 24 years old, 25. He's an older guy. Jaden Daniels is 24 years old. Bo Nix started 61 games in college, big time football college games. Jaden Daniels started 55 games in college. And so, like, now you take a guy like Drake Maye in that same rookie class. He's not 24, he's 22. He didn't start 55 or 61 games. He started like 26 games. And so to think that he's going to be as NFL ready as these other guys, and also understanding the offense that he came from in college, it's just not realistic. So, um, there's I don't know, like walking into like not the perfect situation is tough. But I thought he weathered the storm pretty well. He probably learned a ton this year. He probably learned a lot from Jacoby Brissett on how to be a leader and how to what's expected in the locker room. And I do think for as negative of a situation as it might have been, um, I think it's a great organization to be in. And sometimes rookie quarterbacks go to what amounts to a crappy organization who doesn't know how to win and they don't know how to set a standard high. And that's certainly not the case in New England.
Mhm. Um, what as a quarterback, what should the Patriots' priority be in terms of helping Drake May? Fixing the offensive line or getting him that playmaking super duper receiver that they lack?
Well, if you look at who the head coach is, it's going to be built from the inside out. It's going to be foundational first. It's going to be interior and, D line and O line. They're not going to like just traditionally, just looking at who Mike Vrabel was as a head coach. It wasn't like, sort of what I experienced a little bit in Seattle with Mike Holmgren, where it was like 7-on-7 pieces and we're going to sprinkle in like a great left tackle, and build it kind of together. I feel like what I've seen out of Mike Vrabel, what he really wants to do is he wants to protect the defense and protect the quarterback by having an amazing run game. He wants a violent, physical style of football. And, if you even just looked at like what he was, what he was as a player with the Patriots, it wasn't like they were the team that was going out in free agency spending a ton of money for uh, wide receiver types. It started somewhere else. So, we'll see. He also was burned with AJ Brown leaving the team in Tennessee and understands how valuable it is to have an elite playmaker. But there's a lot of things that probably need to get fixed. So we'll see where he puts everything on the priority list.
You and Mike are the same age. Did you play against him?
Almost, almost. We played against each other when he was at Ohio State. I was at Boston College. We played in the kickoff classic. He was an upperclassman. I was a freshman, and I won't say how that game went. It was one of those games where BC we were playing Ohio State, and they had lost all these guys to the NFL. They came out early. They went to the draft, and they were playing a bunch of no-name guys that we had like never heard of before. They had some random wide receiver named Terry Glenn. They had like this running back we had never heard of named Eddie George. I mean, it was like the whole defense was like that. On defense, you had Mike Vrabel, you had Finkus, it was Sean Springs. I mean, it was crazy. Like we were like, oh, they lost Joey Galloway. We're good. We're gonna win this one. And no, they were pretty amazing, kind of like they are now.
Hmm. Um, well, we have some big time playoff games coming this weekend. AFC Championship, NFC Championship. Let's go to the AFC first. Bills and Chiefs. Do you understand the angst in New England about the Chiefs possibly winning three in a row? Something.
No, no, I don't. Explain it to me. Well, is that a thing? I didn't know that was a
And
thing.
well, that would put them ahead, a league ahead of the Patriots, who never won three in a row. They won two in a row a couple times,
Hmm.
but they never got the trifecta.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
somehow,
That's interesting. That's interesting. As a player, like it always felt like every year was a different year. And like last year, like maybe just the coaches I had, they like did such a good job of like making you just flush it. Like that, like last year just evaporates. Even during the season, like you work so hard for the week to go 1-0 that week. You have a game plan, and then you just have to kind of like evaporate that game plan and the result, win or loss, and just move forward and change your focus. So, yeah, as a player, I don't know that the year to year thing meant as much to us as players. Now, I mean, maybe I would feel differently if it was Super Bowl after Super Bowl. So, maybe that's a thing. But clearly, yeah, I guess you're right about the fan base competitiveness.
so how do you see it? I mean, Kansas City, they're not scoring as much, but they're doing what it takes to win. Do you see this as being Buffalo's year to get past them, or are you still thinking, you know what, Pat Mahomes is just so good that he'll will them to win?
Yeah, I mean that's probably true. I mean I would say this: the Chiefs love their quarterback. He is their Superman. They would trade him for nobody. And I think the Bills feel the same way about their guy. They feel like he's this year's MVP. He's everything they were looking for when they drafted him and more. Um, the interesting thing is that I think this year's Buffalo team is a little different. Like they've purposely built this team for one thing, and that's how can we beat the Chiefs? And it used to be that Josh Allen would lead the team in rushing, and like that's not the case. They've got James Cook, who's a great runner. He's developed, and they've got two other running backs. Like they're running back by committee. They're fire and ice, thunder and lightning. Like they got all different ways in the running game. And you still have Josh Allen, especially in the low red zone, short yardage, goal line, all those situations as a runner. And then also in the passing game, like they did the whole thing where we have a star receiver and Stephon Diggs, and we got to force him the ball. And now we're forcing interceptions because we're trying to keep this guy happy. And you don't have that anymore. You have much more of a, just like in the running game, you got a committee approach at wide receiver. This last game, 9 different guys caught the ball. It's my strong belief that you are much more difficult to defend as a quarterback when you're spreading the ball around. You can have your favorite guys. You can have your go-to, like security blanket. That's good. But if you can spread it around, you're more dangerous that way. And then
Mm.
defensively, it's always been about, can you take advantage of the opportunities and be an opportunistic turnover creating defense. Buffalo, I wouldn't say that was really what they were great at, and they've been really good at that this year. So, Mahomes will give you opportunities because he is a gunslinger. You gotta catch the ones that he throws to you, as they like to say. But no, this is two of the best quarterbacks, and getting over that hump in the playoffs has really been the kryptonite for the Bills. And but again, I think it's just what they've been built for and what their focus has been this whole time.
They're not committing turnovers. I hope I don't jinx them. Josh has been much better. He's a gunslinger at heart too, but he's toned that down, and he's doing the smart thing more times.
Yeah.
And
Well, you're
then
you're you're exactly right. And I believe the reason that he's not turning the ball over is that he's not worried about keeping some star receiver happy. Like
mm,
he's spreading it around to kind of quieter, more like blue collar type guys, a Mac Hollins and Amari Cooper. Like it's not about, I think there's an unselfishness on this team right now that's helping the quarterback. Like you mentioned, no interceptions. There's no fumbles. No, I think they had one penalty for 10 yards. No sacks. Again, like spreading the ball around, finding checkdowns, finding tight ends. Those in quarterback rooms, you call them sack beaters. And then you stay on schedule as an offense. You don't put your defense in a bad spot. Like, yeah, it's all those lessons. And Mahomes did that when he lost Tyreek Hill. The year he lost Tyreek Hill, the very next year they win the Super Bowl. He's Super Bowl MVP. The longest touchdown pass he had of the entire season was 38 yards in the air from the line of scrimmage, 38 yards in the air. That was the only touchdown pass. Like that was the deepest pass. And he had to kind of change how you know what? Okay, I don't have Tyreek. I don't have to keep this guy happy. I'm going to spread it around. I'm going to use my 3 wood instead of my driver kind of a mindset. And it works. And so there's no doubt that Josh Allen, Joe Brady, Sean McDermott, no doubt that they've studied the success of Kansas City. They're the team to study right now.
well, I want to flip it back now to the Patriots because we've been talking year after year after year after year. They need the great receiver. They need that playmaker. And listening to you now, maybe they don't.
Well, listen, you need an unselfish playmaker. You need a quarter. I mean, there's more than one way to do it. Like you saw what happened to Mike Vrabel's Tennessee Titans when they lost AJ Brown. That team fell apart, offensively. And then you saw what happened to Philly. They were struggling offensively, and boom, all of a sudden Jalen Hurts looks like a great downfield passer because he gets AJ Brown. Like that having a star receiver who's a game changer, who makes you commit a deep safety to that side of the field, it can change everything. So there's more than one way to do it. But I think when quarterbacks, especially a young quarterback, you get too locked up in a gunslinger at that. You get too locked into, I started out in Green Bay, and Brett Favre had Shannon Sharp, or sorry, Sterling Sharp. And like it was like, I'm like, hey Brett, how do you read this play? Like, I just look for Sterling. It's like, well, okay, well, maybe that's why you have so many touchdowns and so many interceptions. Like, how can we?
Yeah.
And then by the time I got there, he was spreading the ball around to quality receivers, an Antonio Freeman, a Robert Brooks, a Mark Chmura. Like these were quality. Like it wasn't like they were guys that wouldn't start for other people. They were all pro quality. So I do think like for a young quarterback, having the pressure of like keeping one guy happy can be a lot. And but at the same time, like you certainly need guys that can win their one-on-one matchup on the outside.
Mhm.
No doubt.
Well, that is like the perfect segue into the NFC game, where the Commanders are taking on the Eagles, and Jaden Daniels does have that unselfish, great playmaking receiver in Terry McLaurin. Jaden Daniels is a playmaker himself. I mean, he's like a human playmaker. Every time the ball's in his hand, whether he's throwing it or running it, he seems to be doing something positive.
Yeah, he's been incredible. I mean, by far the most impressive rookie that I've seen. And again, I think I mentioned earlier, he's 24 years old. He's got 55 college starts. Just to put that in perspective, like he's older than CJ Stroud, who just finished his second year. CJ Stroud's only 23 years old. And so, like, it is a weird time in college football right now. I mean, high school football, you get all these guys reclassing, and then who red shirts, and then who gets a COVID year, and then junior college guys get an extra year now. Like, so it's people come into the NFL with some guys have more upside than others. Some guys are more NFL ready than others. So there's no doubt that Jaden Daniels comes in not like a typical rookie. But even with that, he has been outstanding. Cliff Kingsbury, kind of this version of his college air raid offense, married to a more physical run game this time around, more physical run game than he showed in Arizona. Anthony Lynn is involved in, kind of helping that run game get off the ground. I think, like, truly, Jaden Daniels might be the most impressive quarterback in the NFC, rookie or not. I mean, he's been that good. So, and then just clutch. Like at the end of a game, we need three. We need a touchdown. It's fourth down, like whatever. I mean, that's when they say quarterbacks make your money on third down and in the red zone. Anybody can be good from the 20 to the 20 and first and second down. That's kind of what they say to you. You make your money. The reason you're making more money than other people is what you do in the red zone, what you do when the game's on the line. And that's when he's been at his best.
And they have no hesitation at all. Fourth and whatever in a key moment in the game, just to send them right back out there, or don't take them off the field. I mean, I think that speaks volumes that they have zero. I know Dan Quinn is a bit of a gambler, but relying on a rookie to constantly get you through fourth down over and over again, I mean, that speaks a lot to
Yeah,
me.
no doubt. And they've been playing the role of the underdog too. This is one of the worst teams in football last year, and he knows that their defense isn't all that talented. Like these guys were not supposed to be a playoff team this year. And so his offense is more talented than his defense. This is the worst Commanders team that we will see in a long time because they've got the money, they've got the draft picks. They're going to be improving the talent level on this team. And so, like, if you're DQ, you're Dan Quinn, you're going to sit there and say, okay, are we going to kick? Are we going to kick a field goal or punt and turn this over to our defense? Or do we want the ball to be in the most talented guy on our team's hands, Jaden Daniels? Like, so of course, as a defensive head coach, he doesn't want his defense going back out there. He'd be like, yeah, just go for it. Just keep going. Try again. Because whatever you got going on is probably better than what we got going on. And I
Mhm.
think that's probably the weakness of this team. They've been undisciplined on defense. They've had a lot of turnovers. They do have some guys in the back end that just really can't cover. You saw them make trades during the season to try to improve their secondary. Um, they've got talent, but I just don't think they're as talented as the Philadelphia Eagles. So they're going to need just a Superman effort from their quarterback.
Uh, as you can tell by now, I love to equate things back to the Patriots and looking to see what the Commanders did. I mean, they were a 3-win, 4-win team last year. They draft the quarterback. They got a few pieces around him. Can you see a similar transformation, given who the Patriots have at quarterback, given the coach, given they have a ton of money to spend? Can you see that kind of improvement from one year to the next for them potentially?
Yeah, and I think the whole league sees that. I think that's why some of these head coaches got fired that maybe wouldn't have gotten fired. They see like, oh, wait, in 1 year you can make that drastic of a change. Like, okay, let's pull the trigger. Let's make the move. Let's do it. Um, yeah, and clearly, I mean, in Washington, it was ownership, GM, head coach, quarterback, coordinators. It was the whole building. The key though to me is like you really have to get the quarterback right. And I'm a huge believer in Drake Maye. Even coming out, I thought Drake probably should have or could have been the first pick overall. Him or Jaden, those were the two guys that I thought were the most impressive. And I thought Bo Nix was super super ready as well. But it has been shocking the success that Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels has had, so far this year. And so I think again, going back to the fact that Drake's only 22 years old, 2 years younger than those other rookie quarterbacks. To me, his upside is right up there with those guys.
Yeah. Well, the Patriots, the coaching staff, Mike Vrabel, Elliot Wolf, they have to do the rest, basically, from here on out. You
And
know,
and they also I don't think it's like I don't think it's nothing that this is got they're sprinkled in like veteran guys, like Zach Ertz being the tight end, Bobby Wagner
mm,
being one of Jaden's best friends, and he's the middle linebacker, been there, done that. Terry McLaurin's a really underrated guy, great leader at the wide receiver position. Like, I don't think it's like this rookie quarterback, he's not expected to go up there and be the vocal leader, like be the I'm giving the speech to the team, or I'm like he's not leading in that way. He's kind of leading like once the ball is snapped, his play on the field, and then just sort of being this guy that just does not flinch in critical moments, like the highs, the lows, game winning, a field goal. He's kind of the same guy.
mm,
Like, oh, hey, we're down. We need a 2 minute drive here to win. He's the same guy. So like there are other people carrying the water in terms of leadership. And
mm,
so I think that's a pretty good lesson to learn as well. You can have a great franchise quarterback, but finding those kind of those glue guys, those veteran leaders in your locker room, it's equally as important.
yeah, I agree. Well, thank you for your expertise. I do want to ask you about your hat.
Mm.
Oh,
This is a
I,
gift from Nick Foles. Nick Foles has a company called what's it called? It's called Dad Season.
yeah.
And this one says no days off and it's Patriot colors. Like I don't know if this is like a shot at the Patriots. He did beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl or if it's an ode to the
Fans aren't going to
Patriots.
buy that hat. Sorry, Nick.
I saw it. So Nick Foles is like he's in really good shape and he's a great pickleball player. He lives in California. And I saw he had a hat on and a shirt on. The hat, he was with his kids. The hat said dad season, something like that. And then his shirt, it was like a really tight cut fit shirt and it said father figure. You know what I mean? Like not like dad bod, it was father figure. But no, it's pretty good. He's a great guy for people that don't know him. I don't know if there's like a rivalry thing there because he won that Super Bowl, but
Mm.
he's a pretty good athlete too. So yeah, this was a gift from the Nick Foles.
Yeah. One last thing, I wanted to ask you about your kids. I mean, I know two of your daughters are playing lacrosse at BC, and of course, Henry's at UCLA. How is everyone doing?
Yeah, he's great. Henry's a freshman quarterback at UCLA. He's on his third offensive coordinator now.
Mhm.
He had Chip Kelly, then Eric Bieniemy, then he's got Tino Sanseri, who came from Indiana. So halfway through his freshman year, he's on his third OC. It's an interesting start. It's kind of like my college career. And then I've got two daughters. My oldest just graduated from BC. Actually, she had a great lacrosse career. Played in four national championships in 4 years. Won two, lost two, and she's working for Nesson now and working for Sports Spectrum, and she's doing awesome in kind of that sports media space. And then my middle daughter Mallory, she was just named captain of the BC lacrosse team this year, and they've been to seven national championships in a row. They're going to try to get back. They're preseason number one in the country, so certainly an elite program with high expectations and. I can say definitively that those girls are working hard right now. Like they're getting after it right now. And their season starts in February. So, we're gearing up and looking forward to that.
So you kind of shuttle back and forth between Tennessee and here and everywhere else.
Yeah, so I think our goal is to try to travel and go to all the BC lacrosse games this year. It's an ACC season. You know, we've got a huge matchup, number one versus number two, Valentine's Day weekend in Chicago against Northwestern, national championship rematch. But you know, it is like the hat says, that dad season. You know, no days off. Like I'm at all that stuff. We're headed to California this week to hang out with Henry. So we're you know, empty nesters, and honestly just kind of like a sports fan at this point, just following the kids around and learning a lot, like learning a lot as the season goes.
Yeah. Well, as long as you drop in and see us on occasion, that's great. I appreciate your time. Thanks,
Yeah,
Matt.
no sweat. It's kind of fun. And I've been doing the Colin Cowherd show in LA on Mondays. And so I've kind of stayed engrossed in a lot of the football, NFL football that's been going on. And there's no doubt I'm stealing a lot of plays in my offensive coordinator role in Nashville with Tim. So I'm not afraid to steal plays. In fact, I'm stealing a bunch of Chip Kelly, Ohio State plays after the other night. So no shame in my game that way.
Well, I'll have to travel and take a look at your high school team.
Well, the name of the school is Ensworth High School. We got a great little squad, so we're really proud of the guys.
Awesome. Good luck. Best of luck. Talk soon. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Karen. See ya.